Hey champs of Examsnet, welcome to the series of chapter-wise discussion. In this session, we are going to discuss the chapter Structural Organization in Animals. Okay. Now, if you remember in the preceding chapters, chapter 1 and chapter 2, we have discussed about different kingdom systems of classification, right? We have discussed about kingdom Monera, kingdom Protista, fungi, plantain, animalia. So there we discussed about unicellular organisms as well as multicellular organisms. So what was the difference, the main difference between unicellular and multicellular organisms? The main difference was that in case of unicellular organisms, only single cell is present. Okay, there is only single cell, one cell only. So all the responsibility falls on this particular cell, right? So what happens, all the essential functions such as respiration, digestion, reproduction, etc. are performed by this single cell itself, right? Because they have it has no other option. Whereas in case of multicellular organisms, there is no such limitations, right? Because a large number of cells are present in the multicellular organism's body, right? So what happens, these cells group together. Okay, for example, these are the cells, they form a group. Similarly, other cells can form a separate group. So a group of cells perform different functions in a well organized manner. Okay, so this group of cell can perform, let's say, respiration. Another group of cell can perform digestion. So different cells, a large number of cells come together to form groups to perform a specific function. So this is a well organized manner in which takes place in the multicellular organisms. And what are these groups of cells called? They are called as tissues. Okay, so the cells form tissues and organs to perform different body functions, right? Now, what are tissues? If we define the tissues, these are the group of similar cells along with their intercellular materials. So suppose these are the cells. In between the cells, there will be some materials which will also help in performing these functions. So these group of cells along with the intercellular materials will be known as tissues. Okay, so this is the basic difference between unicellular and multicellular organism. Now we also know that there is great diversity among the multicellular organisms. Plants are multicellular or unicellular? Obviously multicellular organisms. Animals are also multicellular organisms, but here in this chapter we have to focus only on the animals because we have already studied about plants in the previous chapter, anatomy of the flowering plants. Okay, what did we discuss in the previous chapter? There we have studied about the internal organization in case of plants, right? Similarly, this chapter is related to the internal organization of animals. Okay, structural organization or internal organization. So we can say that this can be called as anatomy of animals. So this chapter is very similar to the previous chapter. The only difference is the previous chapter was about the internal organization in plants and this chapter is about the internal organization in animals, right? So here we will be discussing how the cells, tissues or organs are arranged in the body of an animal. Okay. Now, what is given in the first paragraph of NCERT? It is given that the multicellular organisms are diverse, right? There is varying complexity among the multicellular organisms also. For example, it can be as simple as a hydra. Hydra is a multicellular organism, but it has very few number of cells. It can be in thousands, right? The number of cells can be in thousands in case of Hydra, whereas the complexity increases to such an extent that the number of cells can be in billions as in case of human beings. Okay, so in case of humans, the number of cells are in billions. So there is varying complexity in case of multicellular organisms. And what are tissue? These are a group of similar cells along with intercellular substances which perform specific function. So such an organization is called tissue. Okay, so this is given in the first paragraph of the NCERT. Now in the second paragraph, it is given that all the complex animals consist of only 4 basic type of tissues. So in this chapter, we are going to discuss about different types of tissues. So you have to remember that only 4 types of tissues are present in the animal body in different proportions. Okay, so different organs will have different proportions or different composition of these tissues. Let's start animal tissues. Now remember that this part has been omitted from the NCERT, but still we will be discussing this because it is the basic of the structural organization in animals. So we cannot skip this part at least. Okay. So what are different types of animal tissues which are found in the animal's body? These are epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, and neural tissue. 4 different types of tissues are seen in animals' body. Okay, these 4 types of tissues will be found in varying proportions in different organs of our body. So let's start with the first one, epithelial. What is epithelial? It is related to the word epithelium, right? Epithelium. AP means outer or above, right? So this layer acts as the body covering as well as the lining for internal organs of our body. Okay, for example, skin is acting as the body covering of our body, right? It is covering the whole body and it helps in protecting the body from any outside agent such as pathogens. Okay, so this skin is nothing but the epithelium, right? It is made up of epithelial tissue. So epithelial tissues will be found on the body covering. They will be found as the body covering or as the lining for internal organs. Second type is connective tissue. Now it is clear from the name that they will help in connection. So these will provide connection and support to the rest of the tissues of our body, right? The third one is muscular. So muscular, again, it is clear from the name, the muscles of our body are made up of muscular tissues. And the last one is neural tissue. So what are neural tissue? They provide the nervous control and coordination. So nerves are part of the neural tissue. Okay. So we will be discussing about each one of them in detail. Let's start with the first one, that is epithelial tissue. This will be the lengthiest one, epithelial tissue. Rest one will be smaller than this. Okay. So epithelial tissue. Now we have seen that it will act as the body covering as well as the lining for internal organs. So in both the cases, it will have one free surface, right? So it has a free surface which will be facing either a body fluid or the outside environment. Okay. For example, let's say skin. So this is our skin. Now skin has two surfaces, the inner surface and the outer surface. So inner surface of the skin is in contact with the body mass, right? And the outer surface is in contact with the outside environment, right? Similarly, if the epithelial tissue is present as the lining of internal organs, so suppose this is the organ. This organ will have the lining made up of epithelial tissue, right? So again, this epithelial tissue will have two surfaces. This epithelium will have two surfaces. One surface, that is the inner surface, is in contact with this organ, whereas the outer surface, this one, is in contact with the inner body fluids that are present outside the organ. Okay, so we have body fluid present outside the organ. So this one surface will be in touch with the body fluid. Okay, so there will always be one free surface and one attached surface, right? Then the next point is the cells are compactly packed with little intercellular matrix. So these cells are very compactly packed and there are little intercellular matrix present between the cells. Now, why they are compactly packed? Let's say skin. Let's take the example of skin. Now, what is the function of skin? It acts as the protective layer, right? It helps in protecting our body from pathogens. So if the cells are loosely packed, suppose the cells would be loosely packed and there would be intercellular spaces between the cells, then what would happen? Any pathogen would easily enter through these cells, right? Then how would this skin protect us from the pathogens? Right, so it is required that these cells should be compactly packed so that they can protect the body, right? So if these cells are very compactly packed, then no pathogen or no any harmful agent can enter through them. right? Therefore, these are compactly packed with little intercellular matrix. Now, epithelial tissue or the epithelium can be of two types. First one is simple epithelium and the second one is compound epithelium. So, simple epithelium means what? Simple means they will have a single layer of cells. Okay, so we know that large number of cells will be arranged in layers, right, in epithelium. So, in simple epithelium, there will be just one layer of cell. Whereas in case of compound epithelium, there will be multiple layers. Okay, so one layer, then below this layer, there will be another layer of cells, again another layer. So there will be a different number of layers of cells in compound epithelium, but there will be more than one layer of cell. In simple epithelium, there will be just a single layer of cell. So it is composed of a single layer of cells, right? It functions as a lining for body cavities, ducts and tubes. So here, what are the functions of simple versus compound epithelium? We have seen that the simple epithelium will consist of a single layer of cell, whereas the compound epithelium will consist of multiple layers. Now, suppose one type of epithelium out of these two has to protect your body, right? You have to choose one type of epithelium, either simple epithelium or compound epithelium, for protecting your body completely. So which one will be able to protect your body more efficiently, simple epithelium or compound epithelium? Obviously compound epithelium, because simple epithelium has just a single layer. So some pathogen or some harmful chemicals or agents can pass through this simple layer, right? Whereas in case of compound epithelium, even if some harmful agent passes through one layer, it will be prevented by other layers, right? So compound epithelium will be more effective or more efficient in protecting your body. Therefore, our skin, which is the most important protective layer of our body, is made up of which one? Compound epithelium, not simple epithelium. So where are simple epitheliums present? They are present as the covering for body cavities, ducts and tubes. Okay, there simple epithelium are sufficient, right? Because inside the body there are less harmful chemicals or pathogens available. Outside the body, more harmful agents are available. Therefore, more protection is required on the outer surface of our body, right? In case of compound epithelium, two or more layers of cells will be present, obviously, and they will function as a protective layer as in our skin. Okay. I hope you have understood the difference between the simple epithelium and compound epithelium and why the compound epithelium is present in the skin. Now, even simple epithelium are of different types on the basis of shape of the cells. Okay, so on the basis of structural modification of the cells, simple epithelium is further divided into three types. So we know that all the simple epithelium will be made up of just one layer of cell, just one layer of cells, but these cells can be of different shapes or sizes, right? For example, these cells can be flat, these cells can be cube like, or these cells can be column like, elongated cells. Okay, so depending on the shape of the cells, these simple epithelium can be of three different types. First one is squamous epithelium, second one is cuboidal epithelium, and the third one is columnar epithelium. So here four diagrams are given and four boxes are given explaining them. So let's say this is box number 1, this is box number 2. So let's first discuss about the first one. First type of simple epithelium is squamous epithelium. So what is the shape of the cells in squamous epithelium? It is flat. So the cells are flattened. Okay, flattened cells with irregular boundaries. So this you have to remember. They help in diffusion because see, if the shape of the cell is different, then the thickness of the cells will also be different. This will lead to different thickness of the epithelium. For example, if we say the cells are very flat, okay, so flat cells will be very thin. They have the minimum thickness, right? So the epithelium layer, which is made up of flat cells, that will be very thin. On the other hand, if the cells are cuboidal in shape, in that case, it will be slightly thicker as compared to the squamous epithelium, right? Because You can easily see the difference between a flat cell and a cuboidal cell. Which one is thicker? Cuboidal cell will be thicker as compared to the flat cells. So the epithelium that is made up of cuboidal cell will also be thicker than the epithelium which is formed of the flattened cells. Similarly, if we compare the cuboidal epithelium with the columnar epithelium. So in case of columnar epithelium, the cells are elongated, right, like this. So this is even more thicker than the cuboidal cell, right? So the epithelium which will be made up of columnar cells will be thickest among all the three types of epithelium, right? So first one, squamous epithelium, which is made up of flattened cells. It helps in diffusion because it is very thin. So the diffusion of gases or particles is very easy here, right? So wherever active diffusion or active passage of materials are required, there squamous epithelium will be present. For example, walls of the blood vessels, then in the air sacs of the lungs. So in the air sacs of lungs, there is a requirement for rapid diffusion of air gases, right, like oxygen, because we have to continuously breathe. So for that, active diffusion of gases is required. So the epithelium should be very thin. That is why it is made up of squamous epithelium. Got it? Second one, this is the second box. Now here the we are discussing about the cuboidal epithelium. That means the cells of this epithelium will be cuboidal in shape, right? Cube-like. So the cube-like cells will be thicker than the flattened cells. So this epithelium will be slightly thicker as compared to the squamous epithelium. So cube-like cells, it will help in secretion and absorption. Okay, so this cuboidal epithelium will help in secretion in absorption. So although it is thicker than the squamous epithelium, still it is simple epithelium only, right? Only one layer of cell. So secretion and absorption is possible. And where are the cuboidal epithelium found? They are found in the ducts of glands and tubular part of the nephron, that is PCT. Okay, proximal convoluted tubule of the nephron. These are the locations where cuboidal epithelium will be found. So this you have to remember, what are the locations of different types of epithelium. Now we come to the third type. This is the third box. And the last type of simple epithelium, that is columnar epithelium. So here you can see in this diagram, the cells are like columns, elongated cells. Okay, these cells are elongated. So obviously this overall thickness of the cell is more as compared to the squamous or the cuboidal epithelium. Okay, the cells of the squamous or cuboidal epithelium. So this epithelium will be thickest among all the three types, right? So here the cells are tall and slender or elongated. Here the nuclei are located at the base. You can see these circular oval shaped nuclei are shown, right? This epithelium also is involved in secretion and absorption, right? So you can see that the cuboidal epithelium as well as columnar epithelium, both are involved in secretion and absorption. But the only difference is in permeability, right? These columnar epithelium will be less permeable. These will be less permeable than the cuboidal epithelium, because the cells are thicker than the cuboidal cells, right? So the only difference is in the permeability of the layers. Otherwise both are involved in secretion and absorption, and the other differences in their locations. So these columnar epithelium are located in the lining of stomach and intestine. Okay, so which epithelium will be found in the lining of stomach and intestine? Columnar epithelium. And which epithelium will be found in the proximal convoluted tubule of the kidney? Cuboidal epithelium. Okay, and which epithelium will be found in the air sacs of lungs? The squamous epithelium, right? Now suppose the cuboidal epithelium or columnar epithelium bear cilia on their surface. So sometimes these cells can have cilia on their surfaces, right? Then they will help in movement of the particles. So when they bear cilia on the free surface, they are known as ciliated columnar or ciliated cuboidal epithelium, right? Because they have cilia on their surface, and these cilia will help in moving the particles and mucus in specific directions. So where will these ciliated columnar epithelium will be present. They will be present anywhere where there is need for movement of particles. For example, in the fallopian tube. Okay, fallopian tube. So here we need to move the ovum, right? So it is done with the help of cilia. So these ciliated columnar epithelium are found in the inner surface of hollow organs such as fallopian tube. Then some of the columnar or cuboidal cells get specialized for secretion. Okay, so we have seen that these cuboidal or columnar can help in secretion or absorption, right? But sometimes they are specialized just for the purpose of secretion. Then they are called as glandular epithelium. Why they are known as glandular epithelium? Because in this case they form glands. They form glands, because glands present in our body are responsible for secretion. They are responsible for secretion. Why are glands present in our body? They secrete various particles that are required by our body, right? So when these epithelium are specialized for this purpose, secretion purpose, then they form glands, and therefore they are known as glandular epithelium, right? Now these glands can be unicellular or multicellular. So in NCERT, these two diagrams were given for unicellular and multicellular glands. And this diagram was given in the previous NCERT, not in the current NCERT, because as I told you that this topic has been omitted from the NCERT, right? Now, when these layers form glands, then again the glands can be exocrine or endocrine gland, right? So how are these glands classified? On what basis? So on the basis of the mode of secretion and the presence or absence of ducts, these glands can be classified as exocrine or endocrine glands. Okay. Now, mode of secretion and the presence or absence of ducts, meaning what? Suppose it is a duct, it is a gland. Now, this gland has to secrete its particles or its content into the body fluid, right? This is the body fluid outside the gland. So, if this the secretion or the content of the glands are secreted in this body fluid, in this case, no ducts are required. No ducts required. Whereas if a particular gland has to secrete its content outside our body, right? If it has to secrete this outside the body, then in that case, there is a need for some passage or pathway that will help in the transportation of these content towards the outside the body. Okay, so there will be some ducts which will be present. These are the ducts which will act as the passage or the pathways, and they will transport the secretions of the glands towards the outside of the body. Okay. So if the ducts are present, it means the secretions will be secreted outside. So in this case, the glands are known as exocrine glands. Exo means outside. Okay. Whereas if the secretions have to be secreted or contents of the glands have to be secreted inside the body, then they are known as endocrine glands. Okay. In this case, ducts are not required. What are the secretions of the exocrine glands? So mucus, saliva, earwax, oil, milk, etc. All these are the secretions of the exocrine glands, and they will be secreted with the help of ducts. Right? So saliva, you can see that saliva comes out of our mouth. So this will be secreted by the exocrine glands. Similarly, you can take your earwax out of your ear. So this is also secreted by the exocrine glands. Also, if you have oily face, then you can easily get oil on your face, right? Similarly, milk, mucus, these things can also be released outside the body. So these will be secreted by the exocrine glands. On the other hand, endocrines secrete the most important thing, that is hormone. These are very important for the coordination of various organs of our body. Okay. So now we have done all the types of simple epithelium. Okay, simple epithelium, let's revise. Simple epithelium means one single layer of cells. right? Now, even if a single layer is present, the shape of the cells can differ. It can be flat cells, so it will be known as squamous epithelium. If the cells are cuboidal in shape, it will be known as cuboidal epithelium. If the shape of the cells is elongated or slender, tall and slender, then it will be known as columnar epithelium, right? And if these columnar epithelium will bear cilia on their surface, then they will be known as ciliated epithelium, right? Then we saw that sometimes these epithelium are specialized for the purpose of secretion. In that case, they are known as glandular epithelium, because in this case, they form glands, right, that are responsible for secretions. So glandular epitheliums can be of glands can be of two types, either exocrine glands or endocrine glands. Exocrine glands secrete their contents outside our body with the help of ducts, whereas the endocrine glands secrete the contents inside the body, right? And no ducts are required in this case. Okay, so this is what we discuss. Now we are coming to the compound epithelium. Compound epithelium, as we know, they consist of multiple layers of cells. So multiple layers of cells will be present. Now, these compound epithelium have limited role in secretion and absorption. Why? Because multiple layers are present, right? So, secretion or absorption of materials are very difficult, right? Passage or transportation of molecules through multiple layers will be very difficult as compared to that in a single layer, right? So, they have limited role in secretion or absorption. So, what is their role? Their main role will be in protection. So, they have the role of protection against chemical or mechanical stress. The best example is the skin. Skin is made up of compound epithelium because it has to act as the protective layer of our body. So here are the examples: dry surface of the skin, then moist surface of the buccal cavity, then they are also found in the pharynx and inner lining of the ducts of salivary glands and pancreatic glands. So here, ducts of salivary glands and pancreatic glands, that means these epithelium are found in the large glands, okay, larger glands. On the other hand, the simple epithelium that we have discussed, they are found in the smaller ducts, right? So this was about the compound epithelium. Now, all the cells in the epithelium, whether simple or compound, these are held together with little intercellular material. Okay, so some intercellular materials are present between the cells that helps in keeping them together. Right now, different cells of an epithelium can have structural and functional links. So these cells will be linked together, whether structurally or functionally. So what will help them in making this link among themselves? So these links are provided by specialized junctions. Okay, so although we are discussing these specialized junctions in epithelial cells, epithelial tissues, but they can be present in other tissues as well, right? So let's see what are the main types of junctions. First one is the tight junction, second one is the adhering junction, and the third one is the gap junction. Tight junction, as it is clear from the name, here they will keep the cells tightly together. Okay, so the cells will be packed tightly with the help of the tight junction. So what will be the use of this tight junction? They will stop the substances from leaking across a tissue. So if these junctions are keeping the cells tightly together, then obviously there will be no leakage of the particles, right? Because there is no space for the leakage. So they will stop the substances from leaking across the tissue. Second type of junction is adhering junction. Adhering means what? See, these junction will act as glue. What is the role of glue? It adheres keeps the different particles together, right? So they perform the cementing. Okay, they provide a kind of cementing to keep the neighboring cells together. And the third type and the last type of junction is the gap junction. So again, clear from the name, gap means slight gap will be present. And in what form this gap will be present? Suppose this is one cell and this is another cell. These cells have to be linked together and there should be slight gap between them. In that case, they can be linked through a type of cytoplasmic connection. Okay, the cytoplasms will be connected, although there will be slight gap between these two cells, but their cytoplasm will be connected so that they can be linked together, they can communicate with each other, right? So if one cell requires some particles which are present in another cell, then they can take from that cell. Okay. So these gap junctions facilitate the cells to communicate with each other by connecting the cytoplasm of the adjoining cells. So this is similar to the plasmodesmata that is seen in the plants. Plasmodesmata. Plasmodesmata in plants also has a similar function, right? So these were different types of junctions, and here we complete the epithelial tissue. Now we come to the second type of tissue, that is the connective tissue. What is the function of the connective tissue? It provides connection and support to the rest of the tissues, right? So this connective tissue is actually related to all the other tissues, related to other tissues. And this is why this is the most abundant and widely found tissue in the body. Okay, so this is most abundant tissue, most abundant. Our bones are connective tissue, our blood are connective tissue, cartilage is connective tissue. So there are a large amount of connective tissue present in our body. Okay, so the first point is the cells secrete fibers of structural proteins called collagen or elastin. So the special thing about the connective tissue is that the cells of this tissue secrete special type of fibers, structural, made up of structural proteins. These are collagen fibers or elastin fibers. Okay, what is the function of collagen fibers or elastin fibers? These are different fibers. Collagen fiber provides the strength. Okay, collagen fiber provides the strength, whereas the elastin word is related to elastic. So the elastin fiber provide the elasticity and flexibility to the tissue. Okay, so these tissue will be strong as well as flexible. Now you have to remember one thing, that these fibers will be absent in blood. Okay, so no fibers in blood and lymph. So blood and lymph both are connective tissue, but in these fibers will not be found, because if fibers will be present in blood or lymph, then they will not be able to float freely, right? Therefore, we know that blood has to float. They have to move from one body part to another. Therefore, the fibers are absent in blood, right? So except blood and lymph, they will be present in other connective tissues such as bones and cartilage. Then these fibers provide strength, elasticity and flexibility. We have already discussed. Collagen will provide the strength and elastin fiber will provide the elasticity and the flexibility. Now they also secrete modified polysaccharides. So some modified polysaccharides will also be secreted by the cells of the connective tissue. Right. Now what are different types of the connective tissue? So mainly there will be three types of connective tissue. Okay. First one will be loose connective tissue. Loose. Second one will be dense connective tissue, and the third one will be specialized connective tissue. Specialized. So you have to remember three types of connective tissue: loose, dense and specialized. So let's discuss the first type of connective tissue, that is loose connective tissue. It is clear from the name, loose means the cells will be loosely packed. So they will be more flexible, right? They will be able to move, right? Because the cells are loosely packed and they have intercellular spaces. Examples of loose connective tissue or the types of loose connective tissue will be areolar tissue and adipose tissue. So two types of loose connective tissue are there, areolar tissue and adipose tissue. Both these tissues are present beneath the skin. Okay, these are present beneath the skin. But the function of areolar tissue and adipose tissue is different. Let's first have a look at the diagram of the areolar tissue. What do you see in areolar tissue? Here you can see green colored cells which are known as fibroblast. Okay, so what are fibroblasts? These are the cells which secrete the fibers. We have discussed that the cells of the connective tissue secrete special type of fibers known as collagen fibers or elastin fibers, right? So here these cells which are shown in green color, they are known as fibroblasts, and they are secreting some fibers which are shown in blue color. These are the collagen fibers. Okay, so the collagen fibers are secreted by the cells known as fibroblast. Now here you can see that these collagen fibers, blue color collagen fibers, are unbranched. So these are unbranched fibers. So the collagen fibers will be unbranched. Whereas in pink color, you can see there are branched fibers. Okay, other fibers are also present. Pink color. Can you see the pink color branching? So these are the fibers known as elastin. Okay, so pink color fibers are elastin fibers. Right. Then different type of cells can be found, macrophage cells, then mast cells. These type of cells will also be found. Other type of cells will also be found here. What is the function of macrophage cell? This cell helps in phagocytosis. Okay. So this is areolar tissue. This is a type of loose connective tissue. Then the second type of loose connective tissue is adipose tissue. Here you can see fibers are not shown here, but the most important part is fat storage area. So this is a cell. This is the cell of this tissue. The maximum volume of this cell is occupied by the fat. Okay, so the maximum volume of the cell is dedicated to store fats in them. Okay, here the nucleus is occupying just the peripheral position, just the little peripheral position, whereas the most volume of the cell is occupied by the fats. Okay, so here you can easily analyze that the adipose tissue is used to store fat, right? Both areolar and adipose will be found beneath the skin, but their functions will be different. What is the function of areolar tissue? It serves as the support framework for the epithelium. This is the skin, right? This is also a type of epithelium. Just beneath the skin, areolar tissue will be found, and it will provide support to the epithelium. So it serves as the support framework for the epithelium, and it will contain fibroblast, macrophages, and mast cells. These are the type of cells which will be found in the areolar tissue. On the other hand, the adipose tissue, which are also found beneath the skin, but they are specialized to store fat. So their location is same beneath the skin, but their function is different. The function of areolar tissue is to provide support to the epithelium, whereas the function of the adipose tissue is to store fat. Okay, and both are type of loose connective tissue. Now we come to the second type of connective tissue, that is dense connective tissue. Dense connective tissue means what? The cells will be densely packed, densely arranged. In case of loose connective tissue, they were loosely packed. In dense connective tissue, the cells will be densely packed. So here you can see two types of dense connective tissue are shown here, dense regular and dense irregular. So what is the difference between dense regular and dense irregular? In case of dense regular, the cells are arranged in a regular pattern, regular arrangement. In case of irregular, dense irregular, there is irregular arrangement of the cells. Okay, you can clearly see that there is a regular pattern in the first one, while there is irregularity in the second one. Right? I hope it should be very clear right from the diagram itself. Now, dense regular. The first point is collagen fibers are present in rows between many parallel bundles of fibers. Okay. So there is a particular arrangement of cells and fibers, whereas in dense irregular, there is no such arrangement. That is the only thing that you have to remember, right? And the another important thing is the examples. You cannot miss the examples. So what are the examples of the dense regular? Tendons and ligaments. These two are the examples of dense regular connective tissue. What are tendons? These are the connective tissues which attach the skeletal muscle to the bones, whereas the ligaments attach one bone to another bone, right? Now, dense irregular, this is present in the skin. So the important thing here is the example tendons and ligaments. Okay, tendons attach the skeletal muscle to the bones and ligaments attach one bone to another bone, and both are type of dense regular tissue. Now we have discussed two types of connective tissue, the loose connective tissue and the dense connective tissue. Now the third type of connective tissue is the specialized connective tissue. These specialized connective tissue can either be skeletal, or they can be the fluid They can be in the form of fluid, right? Skeletal can be of two types, either cartilage or bone. Okay, both are solid. Cartilage is also solid, bone is also solid, but the only difference is that the cartilage will be more flexible or pliable. Okay, it will be more pliable or flexible, whereas the bone will be less pliable or less flexible. Okay, what are the cells of the cartilage called? The cells of the cartilage are known as chondrocyte, whereas the cells of the bones are known as osteocyte. Okay, bone cells are known as osteocytes, cartilage cells are known as chondrocytes. Cyte means cells. So these are type of specialized tissues, specialized connective tissue. Another example is blood as well as lymph. Okay, lymph is also an example of the specialized connective tissue. In blood, you can see different type of cells can be found: RBC, WBC, and platelets. Now here, let's recall one thing that we had discussed in the previous chapter. In the previous chapter, when we were discussing about the tissue, then we discussed that the cells of a particular tissue have same origin. Okay, all the cells of a particular tissue are of same origin, but their structure and function can be different. Okay, the structure and function will not be necessarily same. We had seen the example of xylem in plants. There we had different type of cells in xylem tissue which had different structure and function. Similarly, in blood, in case of animals, we can take the example of blood. Here you can see blood is a tissue, right? Different type of cells are found in tissue such as RBC, platelets, WBC. All these have same origin, but are they having the same structure or function? No. RBC, WBC and platelets all are of different structures as well as functions. Their functions are also different. Platelets help in blood clotting. Blood clotting. RBCs carry oxygen, right? WBC help in immunity, right? So they have different structures and functions. So we can say that all the cells of the tissues are of same origin, but they can have same or different structure and function, right? So this was about the connective tissue. Let's revise it once before we move to the next type of tissue. There are three types of connective tissue: loose connective tissue, dense connective tissue, and the specialized connective tissue. Okay, what were the different types of loose connective tissue? Areolar tissue and adipose tissue. Both these were found beneath the skin, but they had different functions. Areolar tissue has the function of providing support to the epithelium, whereas the adipose tissue is specialized to store fat, right? Then we come to the dense connective tissue. In dense connective tissue, we again study two type of dense connective tissue: dense regular and dense irregular, right? In dense regular, there was a regular pattern of cell and fibers, while there was no such regular pattern in dense irregular tissue, right? What were the examples of dense regular? Tendons and ligaments were the examples of dense regular. Tendons, they connect the skeletal muscle to the bones, whereas the ligaments connect one bone to another, right? Then dense irregular are found in the skin. Then the third type was specialized connective tissue. In that we discuss the cartilage, bones, blood and lymph. These are the type of specialized tissues, right? So this was about the connective tissue. Now we move to the next type of tissue, that is the muscle tissue. So the muscle tissue are found attached to our skeletal system, and they are also found in the internal organs of our body, right? Mainly there are three types of muscle tissue. The first one is skeletal muscle, skeletal. Second one is smooth muscle, and the third type is cardiac muscle, right? So there are three types of muscle tissue that you have to remember. Now looking at this diagram, can you find the differences among these three types of muscle tissue? In the first one, nuclei are not shown, but you have to remember there are multiple nuclei in one cell. Okay, so the cells of the skeletal tissue are multinucleated, right? Multinucleated. The first one will be multinucleated. In the second one, that is the cell of the smooth cells, you can see one cell has one nucleus, right? Each cell has one nucleus. So this is uninucleated. uninucleated. And the third one, here also you can see this is one cell. Okay, this is one cell, it has one nucleus. This is another cell, one nucleus. So in each cell there are only one nucleus. So the third one is also uninucleated. What is the second difference? The second difference is in the shape. The first one is tubular in shape. Okay, what is the shape of the first one? It is tube-like, tubular. Second one is spindle shape, right? It is spindle shape. Then the third difference is in striations. You can see that the first one and the third one has striations. Striations. You can see the lining like this, right? So these are the striations. So striations are present both on the skeletal muscle as well as cardiac muscle, but the smooth muscle do not have such striations. Okay, so these are unstriated, whereas the skeletal and the cardiac muscles are striated muscles. Now let's summarize them here. First one was skeletal muscle. What are the main features of the skeletal muscle? They have the fibers which are striated. The shape is tubular. Okay, these are multinucleated. We have discussed this. These are voluntary muscle. Voluntary muscle means we can control these muscles. We can move these muscles as and when required. Suppose I want to move this hand. So will I be able to move this hand? Yes, I will be able to, because these muscles which are present in our on our hand are voluntary muscles. Okay, we can move them as per our wish. So these are voluntary. So here diagrams are given. Locations, obviously skeletal muscle means they are attached to our skeleton. It is clear from the name. Then the second type is smooth muscle. Here the fibers are non-striated, right? No striations were seen in the smooth muscle. You have seen the shape was spindle shape like this. These are uninucleated. One spindle shaped cell consists of one nucleus. So these are non-striated, these are spindle shaped and uninucleated. These are involuntary. Where are they found? They are usually found in the covering wall of internal organs. So can you move your internal organs as per your wish? No, we cannot control our internal organs. We cannot control our lungs. We cannot control our kidney, right? So the muscles which are present in these organs are involuntary muscles. We cannot move them as per our wish. We cannot control them. So these are involuntary and they are known as smooth muscles. And the third type is cardiac muscle. So this is a special muscle that is present in our heart. So can you again control the heart muscle? No, you cannot control them. So these are also involuntary. And here again fibers are striated. These are branched and uninucleated. So you can see this is the figure of the cardiac muscle. These are branched fibers and these are uninucleated. One cell or one fiber will consist of one cell only, one nucleus only. Okay. These are found only on the covering walls of the heart. Okay, these are present only on the heart and nowhere else in the body. So these are the basic types of muscle tissues, right? We don't have to go into detail because these are not part of the syllabus as of now, right? But these are basic things, so we should know the basic things. Now we come to the last part, neural tissue. About the muscle tissue, we will be studying in detail in the chapter locomotion and movement. Okay, so there we have to study in detail about these type of muscles and their structures as well, right? And neural tissue, this we will be studying in the chapter control and coordination. So here we just have to know that neural tissue is another type of tissue that is found in the body of animals, right? What is the structural and functional unit of the nervous system? This is the neuron. So the neural tissue consists of neuron and the neuroglia. These are the composition of the neural tissue. Here you can see the neuron, this dark blue in color, this is the neuron. It has different parts, dendrites. So these type of dendrites are found on the cell body of the neurons. Okay, this is the dendrite. Then here we have the long part of the neuron that is known as the axon, right? And this is the main, this shaded part is the main cell body. This is the structure of a neuron. We will again be discussing this in the chapter control and coordination. And outside this, you can see small dot-like structures. These are the neuroglial cell. Every time I get confused. This is neuroglia, okay? Neuroglia. So both are, the names are similar, neuron, neuroglia. So you might get confused. So you have to remember the name neuroglia. This is also important part of the neural tissue, okay? So this is actually the microscopic view of the neuron and the neuroglia. We will be again studying these in detail. So right now, this was the only thing that we had to discuss in the animal tissue. Four types of tissue. The first one was epithelial tissue, second one was connective tissue, third one was muscular tissue, and the last and the fourth one is the neural tissue. So the animal tissue is completed. Now we come to the next topic, that is organ and organ system. In this, under this topic, we have to study about frogs. Earlier, earthworms and cockroach were also included. But now these two have been removed from the NCERT, and the only topic that is remaining is the frog. So we will be studying about the frog in this video. If you want me to cover earthworms and cockroach also, then you can mention in the comment section. I will cover those topics separately. But for now, we will cover only what is given in the NCERT. So we will be looking at the frogs only. So let's start with some of the basic things that we already know about the frogs. Okay. Frogs are amphibians. We all know that. That means they can live in water, fresh water, as well as on land. Okay, they can live on land as well as water. So they are amphibians. Then they belong to which phylum? They belong to the phylum Chordata. Why? Because they have the notopod. They have notopod in their body. Therefore, they belong to the phylum Chordata. Also, which class of Chordata? They belong to the Tetrapoda class. Tetrapoda. Tetra means four and poda is related to legs, okay, or limbs. So they have four limbs, okay. They have two hands or two forelimbs and two hind limbs. So total how many limbs are there? Four limbs are there. Therefore, they are also known as tetrapoda. They belong to the class tetrapoda. Then they are poikilotherms. Poikilotherms means what? Hot-blooded or cold-blooded? They are cold-blooded. Okay. Poikilotherms means cold-blooded. And what do we mean by cold-blooded animals? Cold-blooded animal means their body temperature drops or increases or surge according to the temperature of the environment. So suppose the temperature of the environment increases, then their body temperature also increases. If the temperature of the environment decreases, then their body temperature also decreases. So it becomes very difficult for them to survive in extreme cold or extreme heat condition. Okay, extreme hot or cold condition. That is why in extreme hot condition, that means in summer, and extreme cold condition, that is in winter, they go into deep sleep. They hide themselves. So this is known as aestivation or hibernation. Okay. So aestivation means summer sleep, and hibernation means winter sleep. So when they go into deep sleep or when they hide themselves in winter, then it is known as hibernation. And when they hide themselves in summer, it is known as aestivation. Okay. So this is why it is so, because their body cannot control extreme hot condition or extreme cold condition, right? Because they are poikilotherms. Unlike the human beings, for example, us, we are hot-blooded animals. So we can maintain our body temperature according to the temperature of the surrounding. So we do not need to hide anywhere in extreme heat or extreme cold condition. Okay. Then they can also show the property of camouflage. Camouflage means they can adjust their color according to the color of the background. So suppose they are hiding in the trees or bushes, then their color will look similar to the color of the bushes, green. They can hide themselves in different background or different environment, and they can adjust their color accordingly. So this way they will be protected by the predators. Okay. So this is a method to protect themselves from the predators. Now we know that they have four limbs. two forelimbs and two hind limbs. So forelimbs means the limbs that are present on the front side, and hind limbs that the limbs which are present on the back side. Okay, so what is the difference between the forelimbs and the hind limbs? First, the number of limbs, the number of digits on the limbs is different. What are digits? Digits are similar to the fingers. Okay, digits are similar to the fingers. So in our hand, how many fingers are there? Five fingers are there. So in our hand, five fingers are there. In our leg also, we have five fingers. But in the case of frog, they have different number of fingers or different number of digits on the forelimbs and hind limbs. On the forelimbs, they have four digits only. Okay, whereas on the hind limbs they have five digits. So the number of digit is more on the hind limbs. Also, the hind limb is more muscular as compared to the forelimbs. Okay, so the forelimbs are very thin, whereas the hind limbs are muscular. Therefore, these are also eaten in some countries because they are very protein rich. Protein rich. The muscular hind limb of the frogs are rich in protein, therefore they can be eaten, right? So in some countries they are eaten. Now one more thing we have to discuss here. Look at this frog. Here the main part of the frog's body are head and trunk. Head and the other part is trunk. They do not have neck, they do not have tail. Okay, so neck and tail are absent. No neck or tail are present. Only two main parts are there, head and trunk. Okay. Then another thing is the color of the frog. So we have many variety of frogs. Okay, not a single type of frog is found. There is great diversity in frogs also, but the most common type of frog that we see around ourselves in mostly in rainy seasons are Rana tigrina. Okay, so in India the most common type of frog are Rana tigrina. Rana is the name of the genus and Tigrina is the name of the species. So Rana tigrina is the most common frog. If you look at this frog, this is the Rana tigrina frog. Here the dorsal part of the body is olive green in color. Okay, so what is the color of the dorsal part of the body? Olive green, and it has also some spots, dark spots on the dorsal body surface. Whereas the ventral body surface is different in color. It is pale yellow in color. Okay, so you have to remember that the color on their body is different on the dorsal and the ventral side. On the dorsal side, it is olive green that is generally visible to us, whereas the ventral side is pale yellow, which is generally not visible because they sit like this so that only the dorsal part is visible. Okay. Then they have eyes which are bulged. Okay, so they have bulged eyes, and these bulged eyes are protected by the nictitating membrane. Okay, so nictitating membrane is present on which part of the frog's body? It is present in the eyes. So this is also acting as the third eyelid. Okay, so when they are in water, then these nictitating membrane protect their eyes, so they can look or they can observe through these nictitating membrane, right? But the water will not enter into the eye because nictitating membrane will prevent the entry of water into the eyes. So these nictitating membrane protect the eyes when they are in water. When in water. Okay, it acts as the third eyelid. Then on the their skin is very smooth and slippery. Why? Because of the presence of the mucus. So they have mucus present on their body surface. This makes their body surface smooth and slippery. They do not have hair on their body. No hair is present. They have no exoskeleton, right? No exoskeleton. Ear, so they have inner ear, but they do not have outer ear like us. We have outer ear, so they do not have outer ear. Instead, they have membranous tympanum that receives the sound signals. Okay, and they also have inner ear, and they have inner ear as well because they can listen to different sounds. This ears. Then do they have nose? They have nostrils. Okay, they have nostrils that helps them to smell things. Now, let's discuss about different processes that are carried out by the body of a frog. So first one is respiration. Respiration, they breathe. Now we know that they can live both on land as well as in water. Okay, so do they respire by same method on land and water? No, they have different methods. So they can respire by different methods. The methods are cutaneous, pulmonary, or buccopharyngeal. Okay, when they are in water, then in that case they do not use their lungs to respire. Instead, they respire by their skin. Right. So this type of respiration is known as cutaneous respiration. Cutaneous respiration means respiration by skin or through skin. When they are on land, then they have many options. They can respire through their skin. They can respire through their lungs with the help of their lungs. Also, they can respire by their buccal cavity. Cavity. Yeah. So it is cutaneous respiration. This is possible. That means the respiration through the skin. Pulmonary respiration is possible on land. That means the respiration by lungs. And buccopharyngeal respiration is also possible. Okay, buccal cavity, using their buccal cavity. So three types of respirations are possible when they are on land. So there is no tension of respiration when they are on land. But what happens when they are in aestivation or hibernation, when they are hiding themselves in summer or winter? In that case, again, cutaneous respiration takes place. They respire only through their skin, not through their lungs or buccal cavity. So this was about the respiration. The next is circulation. Which type of circulation takes place in frogs? Closed circulation takes place. Okay, so this is advanced form of circulation. Advanced. We know that in chordates, the advanced form of circulation takes place, closed circulation. They have the blood vascular system as well as the lymphatic system. So both systems are present in their circulatory system. Blood vascular system and lymphatic system, both are parts of their circulatory system. The blood vascular system consists of heart, blood and blood vessels, whereas the lymphatic system consists of lymph nodes and lymph channels. Okay, what are lymph? Lymph are nothing but the filtered blood. Okay, filtered blood. Now, how many chambers are present in their heart? They are three chambered animals. Okay, we are four chambers. In our heart we have two auricles and two ventricles, but in their heart there are only three chambers. So two auricles are there and only one ventricle is there. Okay, they have two auricles and only one ventricle. Right. And the heart is surrounded by a layer known as pericardium. So the layer surrounding the heart is pericardium. Now here you have to focus in this part because this is very important and this can be quite confusing. The two important parts or the two important terms that you have to remember is sinus venosus and conus arteriosus. These are the two important terms that you have to remember here. Sinus, conus, okay, and venosus and arteriosus. So the first one is sinus venosus and the second one is conus arteriosus. First, try to remember the name. Venosus means it will act like veins, and arteriosus, it will act like artery. Okay. Now, can you remember sinus venosus and conus arteriosus? These are two important parts that you have to remember. So, sinus venosus is present on the dorsal side of their heart or on the backward side of their heart. Okay, this is triangular in shape and it is connected to right artery. So, what we discussed, they are three chambered. They have three chambered heart, two auricles and one ventricle. So, these are two auricles. There is one ventricle only. Right, out of this is left auricle, this is right auricle, right? So on the right auricle they have a triangular sinus venosus. Triangular sinus venosus. This is sinus venosus. This will act as a vein, whereas the conus arteriosus is located on the ventricle and on the ventral side, not on the dorsal side. So the sinus venosus and the conus arteriosus are located on the opposite side. Sinus venosus is located on the dorsal side of the heart, whereas the sac-like conus arteriosus is located on the ventral side of the heart. Another difference is sinus venosus is located on the right atrium or right auricle, and the conus arteriosus is located on the only ventricle, right? So what happens? On the dorsal part, triangular sinus venosus is connected to right atrium. This you can remember. Now what happens? The deoxygenated blood is carried by the vena cava into the sinus venosus and then into the right atrium. Okay, so this is the right, let me draw it again. This is the left auricle, and this is the right auricle, right? Here we have the triangular shaped sinus venosus. We know that the vena cava comes here. Vena cava brings the deoxygenated blood into the heart, right? So deoxygenated blood is carried by the vena cava into this sinus venosus, which opens into the right auricle, right? Then what about the conus arteriosus? It is located on the only ventricle. So this is the ventricle. Here we will have the sac-like structure called conus arteriosus. Conus arteriosus. So the oxygenated blood from this ventricle will move into the conus arteriosus, and then from here it will come out and then it will be transported to other body parts. Okay, so this is something that you have to remember in frogs. So this was about the circulation in frogs. Now we come to the digestion. So we know that frog is a carnivore, right? It is a carnivore. And we know that in case of carnivore, the alimentary canal is short, whereas in herbivores, there is long alimentary canal. So the digestive system of a frog consists of a short alimentary canal and some glands which are associated with it. Okay, so these glands secrete some juices. Okay, they pour their secretions. They pour their secretions. Then they have a bilobed tongue, which plays a very important role because this bilobed tongue help in catching their prey. Okay, our tongue has only one lobe, but their tongue has two lobes. It is like this bilobe. Okay, so it helps in catching their prey. For example, insects. Suppose this is the insect. So this bilobed tongue comes and catches the insect like this, and then it is pulled inside the mouth. Okay, so that is why bilobed tongue are important here. Now let's see how digestion takes place. Here we have the digestive system diagram, which was given in the NCERT. It was the NCERT diagram. Now, the digestion starts right from the mouth, right? So first thing is mouth, then the food moves into the pharynx. Then from here it moves into the short esophagus, that is the food pipe. Food pipe. From here it moves into the stomach, and we know that stomach secretes hydrochloric acid, HCl, and some gastric juice. Gastric juice. So gastric juices and the HCl are secreted by the stomach. So the digestion starts here. Digestion starts. Then from the stomach, the food will move into the small intestine. And which part of the small intestine? The first part, that is the duodenum. In this duodenum, many ducts are opening. Okay, many ducts open into the duodenum. Open into the duodenum. So we know that the liver produces the bile juice, right? So this is the liver which produces bile. And what is the function of bile? Bile helps in the emulsification of fats. Then this bile is stored in the gallbladder. Gallbladder. So whenever required, that means during the digestion, this bile comes from a duct, comes through a duct. So this is the duct which is carrying the bile from liver and gallbladder. And then here we have the pancreas as well. Pancreas. So pancreatic juice from pancreas also travel into another duct. So these two ducts coming separately, one duct coming from liver and gallbladder and the other duct coming from the pancreas. The first duct is carrying the bile juices and the second duct is carrying the pancreatic juices. These two ducts open into the duodenum as a common duct, okay, and it is known as common bile duct. Common bile duct. Okay, so into this duct, what are the juices that have come into the or that have reached into the duodenum? The bile juice as well as pancreatic juice have reached into the duodenum through the common bile duct. Okay, so the bile duct, the bile juice will help in the digestion or emulsification of fats, whereas the pancreatic juice will helps in the digestion of proteins and carbohydrates. So here we can say that all types of materials, whether it is protein, whether it is carbohydrate or fats, all will get digested here. So the digestion will complete in this part of the intestine. Okay, so here the digestion will be completed. Also, the duodenum has some microvilli which will increase the absorptive area. Okay, it increases the surface area, so absorption will be increased here. So both digestion and absorption will take place, right? Then from here, the undigested food material will move into the rectum and then through the cloaca, it will come out. Undigested or the waste material will come out through the cloacal opening, right? So this was about the digestion. Just have a look at this diagram. Here the ducts are not shown. The common bile duct are not shown here. Here stomach is shown, intestine is shown, rectum is shown. This is the rectum and this is the cloaca, that is the opening of the rectum through which the waste material comes out, right? So this is about the digestion. Now the next part is excretion. So excretion means elimination or the removal of the waste particles, right? So we know that the frogs are ureotelic, that means they excrete urea. Okay, so they are ureotelic. What are the main parts of their excretory system? The main parts are kidneys, which are also present in our body. Then they have ureters, which are pipe-like structures coming out from the kidneys. Then they have urinary bladder, where the urine is stored temporarily, and then cloaca, just like the anus. In humans, we have the anus. In frogs, we have cloaca, through which the urine comes out. Okay, the waste material comes out. What are the characteristics of kidneys in frogs? The kidneys are compact, they are dark red in color and they are bean shaped. So in our body also they are dark red and bean shaped. In their body also it is similar. Then these kidneys are located posteriorly, that means on the lower part of the body, on both sides of the ventral vertebral column. Okay, so if this is the vertebral column, on both sides of the vertebral column, kidneys are located posteriorly on the lower side. Then the structural and functional unit of the kidney is nephron. We all know that the structural and functional unit of kidney is called nephrons. Okay, and they are also known as uriniferous tubules. So nephrons or uriniferous tubules are the structural and functional unit of the kidneys. Got it? Noted the location of the kidneys posteriorly on both sides of the vertebral column. And what is the appearance of kidney? They are dark red in color and kidney shaped, right? So the excretion starts from the kidney. Then there are ureters, which are pipe-like structures that carry the excretory products from the kidney, right? And this is urogenital in males. So ureters are present both in males as well as females. But in males, it is urogenital. Urogenital means what? Urogenital. Uri is related to urine and genital is related to, obviously, the gametes. Okay, here the gametes will be transported. So ureters in males carry urine as well as the gametes, male gametes, that is the sperms. So both sperms and urines will be carried by the ureters in males. So they carry both urine and the male gametes, that are sperms. Therefore, the ureters in male frogs are known to be urogenital. Okay. Whereas in females, these ureters will carry urine only. They will not carry the female gametes. So they are not urogenital in females, but they are urogenital in males. Got it? Then the next thing is urinary bladder. The urine from the ureter enters into the urinary bladder. It also enters into the rectum, but it is temporarily stored in the urinary bladder, okay, which is present ventral to the rectum. So the rectum is present on the dorsal side. The urinary bladder is present or located on the ventral side, which stores the urine temporarily. Okay, the rectum opens through an opening that is known as cloaca. So through this opening, the urine will come out. So this is how excretion takes place. Now the next part is reproduction. Here you have to focus on the diagram. If you understand the diagram, then you will understand the process also. It is not very difficult. Let's start. This is the male reproductive system. Okay, this is male reproductive system. And then we will see the female reproductive system. So the first thing that you have to remember here is that in case of frogs, the excretory system and the reproductive system are linked. Okay, so the excretory system is linked to the reproductive system, which is not the case in humans, right? In human body, the testis is separately present. It is not associated with the kidney. It is not attached with the kidney. But in case of frogs, the testis is attached with the kidney. So here you can see this is the oval shaped testis that I am shading here. This shaded part, yellow colored shaded part is the testis. Now you can see that this is associated with the kidney. This is the kidney. Okay. So on the upper part of the kidney, the testis is attached. What is the role of testis? The sperms are formed and stored in the testis. So the sperms will be formed and it will be stored in the testis. Now the sperms will reach into the kidney. Okay, so how they will reach into the kidney? So there are 10 to 12 vasa efferentia. 10 to 12 vasa efferentia, which will connect the testis to the kidney. They will connect the testis to the kidney. So here you can see that these are the vasa efferentia which are connecting the testis to the kidney. So through the vasa efferentia, the sperms from the testis will move into the kidney. Now they will not cover the whole kidney because in the kidney urine is also stored. So the sperms do not have to be mixed with the urine. They have to be separately moved through the kidney without mixing with the urine, right? So for that, the kidney has a special canal known as Bidder's canal. So this is very important term here. I'm writing it in a box. Bidder's canal. Bidder's canal. Very important. The sperms that were stored in the testis will reach into the kidney through the vasa efferentia. Then in the kidney, they will move through a canal known as Bidder's canal, right? And through the Bidder's canal, here you can see Bidder's canal are shown. Bidder's canal. Through the Bidder's canal, they will reach into this urinogenital duct. Why do we say urinogenital? Because this duct carries urine as well as the sperms. Okay. So now they will be carried into the urinogenital duct and they will reach into the rectum. This is the rectum, and then they will come out through the cloaca. So this cloacal aperture will release the urine as well as the sperms. Okay. So this was about the male reproductive system. Now we come to the female reproductive system. In female reproductive system, there is no urinogenital duct. That means the ureter is not urinogenital. It carries only urine, not the female gamete. So how will the female gamete move? Let's see. These dark orange in color, these are the ovaries. Eggs are formed in the ovaries. Now from these ovaries, the eggs will reach into the oviduct, this pipe-like structure. Now this oviduct will carry the eggs or the ovum into the rectum. So they will directly reach into the rectum, and through the cloacal aperture, the eggs or the ovums will come out. Okay, so this does not happen in human body. In our body, the eggs do not come out for fertilization. The fertilization takes place inside the body. But in the case of frogs, the eggs will come out through the oviduct, right? And then external fertilization will take place. So eggs will also come out through the cloaca. The sperms will also come out through the cloaca. And then they will get fertilized outside the body. That means external fertilization will take place. External fertilization. Then what will happen? As a result of fertilization, the tadpole larva will be formed. Tadpole larva. And then this will become adult through metamorphosis. Metamorphosis. I hope you already know this. Metamorphosis takes place in frog, right? Or indirect development takes place. This is also known as indirect development because the larval form or the adult form are different. So this was about the reproductive system of male and female frogs. This was about the reproduction. Now we come to the next thing, that is control and coordination. So we know that control and coordination is performed by the neural system and the endocrine glands. Okay. Neural system helps in controlling the whole function of the body, and endocrine glands help in the coordination among different organs. Okay. So both together perform control and coordination. Chemical coordination of various organs of the body is achieved by the hormones, right? What are the prominent glands that are located in the frogs? Pituitary glands, thyroid gland, parathyroid, thymus, pineal body, pancreatic islets, and adrenal and gonads. So all these glands are also present in the human body. So here we are not going into detail because all these things we are already going to study in detail in human physiology. Okay. The control and coordination, nervous system, everything we are going to study in detail very soon. So here we just have to remember the most important points. Nervous system consists of three main parts. Central nervous system, that means the central part of the nervous system, the brain and the spinal cord, right? Brain and the spinal cord. Then the peripheral nervous system, which consists of all the nerves which are coming out from the brain and the spinal cord. So cranial nerves which are coming out from the brain and spinal nerves which are coming out from the spinal cord. So these nerves are spread throughout our body. And then the last part is autonomic nervous system. So in autonomic nervous system, there are two types of nervous system, sympathetic and parasympathetic. Sympathetic nervous system is active during emergency condition. You would have heard of fight or flight. So fight or flight. And parasympathetic nervous system is active during normal conditions such as eat or sleep, during eating or sleeping. So there are some functions which are automatically taking place without us being aware of them. So these are part of the autonomic nervous system. Now, brain has three important parts. Again, we are going to discuss in detail about the brain in human physiology, in the nervous system. So most of the things are same, right? So you just remember the main terms, the important terms here. The brain is divided into three parts, the forebrain, midbrain, and the hindbrain. Forebrain contains some important parts such as olfactory lobes. So two olfactory lobes are present. Then paired cerebral hemispheres are there. Okay, right hemisphere and left hemisphere. This is the hemisphere. This is the right hemisphere. This is the left hemisphere. Okay, so the forebrain has two hemispheres, right and left. And then unpaired diencephalon are there. So we will be discussing about this. Don't worry. Here just remember that these things are part of the forebrain. Then what are the parts of the midbrain? A pair of optic lobes. So optic lobes are part of the midbrain. And the hindbrain contains cerebellum and the medulla oblongata. So two important parts of the hindbrain are cerebellum and medulla oblongata. So don't get confused between cerebrum and cerebellum. Okay, cerebrum is part of the forebrain, cerebellum is part of the hindbrain. Now here we have an important point. The medulla oblongata passes out through the foramen magnum and continues into the spinal cord enclosed into the vertebral column. So what is the meaning of this line? See, medulla oblongata is the part of hind brain. Okay, so this is forebrain, then comes the midbrain, then comes the hind brain, right? Hind brain has an important part known as medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata. So this is part of this hind brain. From this hind brain, we have this hind brain is connected to the spinal cord. To the spinal. I don't know if it is visible to you. Let me scroll it down. So forebrain, then midbrain, then hind brain, and then hind brain is connected to the spinal cord, right? So medulla oblongata, which is coming out from the hind brain, will be connected to the spinal cord through the foramen magnum. So foramen magnum is actually a type of hole which is present in the skull and also on the top of the this vertebral column, and it connects the medulla oblongata from hind brain towards the spinal cord. So basically foramen magnum, suppose this is the skull, right? Here we have a small hole. This is foramen magnum. Foramen magnum. Then here we have the spinal cord which is enclosed into the vertebral column. This is the vertebral column. Again here we have the whole foramen magnum. Now through this hole the medulla oblongata coming from the hind brain will enter into the spinal cord. So this foramen magnum will help in connecting the hind brain to the spinal cord. Got it? So this was about the nervous system. Now let's summarize the sense organs. We already know some of the things here. For touch, what are the organs for touch? They have the sensory papillae, right? They act as the touch organs. Then for taste, they have the taste buds. For smell, they have the nasal epithelium. For vision, they have the eyes. We have already discussed about the eyes. They are bulged eyes with nictitating membrane. Okay, so they have nictitating membrane. Nictitating membrane. And the eyes are simple. That means they possess only one unit. Simple eyes means only one unit is present in the eyes. And for hearing, they have tympanum. They do not have an external ear. They have just tympanum membrane with internal ears. Also, this tympanum along with the internal ear helps in balancing. That means in maintaining the equilibrium. Maintaining equilibrium. So the function of tympanum along with internal ear is not just hearing but also maintaining equilibrium or balance. Okay, so this was about the sense organs. Now the last thing is importance of the frogs. So we know that the frogs eat insects and thus they protect the crops, because insects can damage the crops. So when these insects are eaten by the frogs, then our crops are protected. Okay. Then they act as an important link of food chain and food web in the ecosystem. Okay. So they are ecologically very important. They maintain ecological balance. Ecological balance. Then we know that the frogs have four limbs, two forelimbs and two hind limbs. So the forelimbs are very thin, but the hind limbs are muscular, right? These are muscular. So these muscular hind limbs of the frogs are actually very rich in protein. These are protein rich. Therefore, they are also used as food. They are eaten in some countries, right? And I think I have missed one thing when I was discussing hind limbs. The digits or yes, hind limbs were webbed. Okay. Digits of the hind limbs were connected to each other. Suppose this is one digit, second, third, fourth, fifth. How many digits are there in the hind limbs? 5 digits. In the forelimbs, there are only 4 digits. So 5 digits of the hind limbs are connected like this. So these feet are webbed. They have webbed feet. Okay, they have webbed feet. And why they have webbed feet? to help them swim when they are inside the water. So these webbed feet of the frog help in swimming. Another important thing that I might have missed is that in the four limbs which have four digits. So this is one digit, this is second, this is third, and this is fourth, right? So in case of male frogs, the first digit has copulatory pad. Okay, copulatory pad, which is missing in the female frog. In female frog, there is no copulatory pad. The male frog has to sit on the female frog for copulation. Therefore, the copulatory pad is located only on the first digit of the four limbs of the male frogs. Okay, so this you have to remember. This is very important. I had missed this point. So now this chapter is complete. Okay. If you want me to cover the other omitted topics such as cockroach or earthworms, then you can mention that in the comment section. I will cover them separately. Okay. So I hope you have understood this chapter well. We will be back with another session soon. Till then, keep learning, keep scoring high. Thank you so much.